Hello, I'm Chief Bill Brooks of the Norwood Police Department. Welcome to Norwood P.D. Blue. We were approached a while back by Norwood Public Access Television and asked if we'd be interested in doing a periodic show about the police department, and of course we jumped at the chance. So this is our first episode. We hope you enjoy it. Every episode of Norwood P.D. Blue will involve a component that'll talk a little bit about day-to-day operations at the police department. We're going to tell you a little bit about the history of the department with every episode, and we're going to feature a member of our department in a segment called Norwood's Finest. You'll also have the opportunity to send questions in for me, as we have a component at the end of the show called Ask the Chief. So please take advantage of that. Send us any questions that you'd like us to answer on the air. This first episode is going to feature information about the department's command staff. We thought we'd start off by introducing you to the people who run the police department, and they're going to talk to you a little bit about their roles. We're also going to talk a little bit about training. This latest training segment will feature firearms training and training around use of force. And we hope you enjoy the show. So in talking about the command structure of the police department, I guess we might as well start off with me. So I'm the chief of police, and I was appointed on May 1st. And the way a chief of police is appointed in Norwood is that our town manager, general manager, John Carroll, is the appointing authority for police officers in the town of Norwood. So Mr. Carroll appointed me effective May 1st. I report directly to him, and then I have members of my command staff that report to me. We have 68 employees here at the police department, 58 police officers of various ranks, some of whom you'll meet today, some civilian dispatchers, some civilian support staff as well. So in addition to me as chief, there are 5 lieutenants, 6 sergeants, and then there are patrol officers and detectives. In just a few minutes, you're going to start to meet our lieutenants, and they'll explain to you a little bit about what they do day to day in the running of the police department. We hope you enjoy this segment.
Hi, I'm Lieutenant Brian Murphy. I am the Executive Officer for the Norwood Police Department. The duties of the Executive Officer include assisting the Chief of Police with all things to do with the administration of the department, handling the staffing needs, handling the payroll, handling the personnel, comings and goings of employees, overseeing the records department, and within that responsibility, assisting with the firearms licensing responsibilities, and also overseeing the building, the maintenance and security of the police facility. Also, as the executive officer of the department, I'm in a position where I've been here about as long as anybody, or at least in tune with the culture of the department and the culture of the town. To, from time to time, advise the chief and other senior administrators and senior members of the department on various issues concerning something that got to do with the history of the department or the history of law enforcement, and so we can best respond to requests from the public. I assist with the oversight of some of the social media. Lately is the Facebook page, which I see as a remarkable opportunity to put out to the public, what the police department is doing. So in a nutshell, the executive officer is responsible for, assisting the chief of police with everything to do with administrative, payroll, scheduling, personnel, records division, the building. I believe between our command staff and even the senior leaders among the patrols, that the chief has a wealth of resources and expertise here on which to take advantage of to meet any challenge that might come up. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Peter Kelly, and I'm a lieutenant with the Norwood Police Department. My role within the police department is I oversee the Bureau of Criminal Investigations. That's the Detective Bureau. We have a sergeant that works for us, Detective Sergeant Bob Wren, and he oversees the detectives that work in that unit. We have 2 detectives that work the day shift, Detectives Gover and Ryan, and we have 2 that work the night shift, Detectives Brown and Giacopo. We also have Detective Tom Stapleton, who is our court liaison and works down at the court prosecuting all the criminal cases. Additionally, we have a Patrolman David Easy, who is our narcotics enforcement person, and he generates narcotics cases, works them, and does a great job in that capacity. And that basically makes up the Detective Bureau that reports to Sergeant Wren. My job in that is overseeing the Detective Bureau, making sure that the investigations are concluded the right way, in a timely fashion, that we have them thoroughly worked out, and that's one of my jobs within the department. One of the big duties we do in the Detective Division is we prosecute and we do enforcement on narcotics cases. One of the innovative things we've done in the advent of Chief Brooks coming to the police department is we've revisited the intervention program, which is intervention in detoxing drug addicts, particularly heroin addicts, and putting them into treatment, thus taking that problem off the street. That's been a big push. We've had great success doing it, and we've been very involved with that part of the program. Another thing I do within the police department is I oversee the Metrolec Computer Crime Lab. And the Metrolec Computer Crime Lab services 43 cities and towns, and basically anybody with a computer forensic type case, it's brought here to the Norwood Police Department where the lab is based, and we'll do investigations, we'll do forensic exams on desktops, laptops, GPS units, cell phones. And when you think about it, it started off basically with just being involved with child pornography cases, but now it's evolved to being involved with every type of criminal case you can imagine. We do them with narcotics cases, we do them with homicides from other jurisdictions. We do them in every case, and we've had great success doing that. Frankly, that's really just taking off and going forward. It's not going back, so it's become a big part of what we do. And that's my role as the investigative commander for the Norwood Police Department.
Hello, my name's Kevin McDonough, Lieutenant with the Norwood Police Department, and my title is Operations Commander. I oversee the uniform branch of the department. As you know, Lieutenant Kelly oversees the investigative unit, and Lieutenant Murphy is the administrative lieutenant. The department is divided into 3 shifts. Each shift has a lieutenant and a sergeant assigned to supervise, and depending on the shift, the manpower is allocated accordingly. My job as the operations commander is to make sure the uniform branch, approximately 40 patrolmen and 5 sergeants, have the tools they need to perform their duties, whether it be equipment, training, or information. Each shift has a roll call at 8, 4, and at midnight, in which the sergeant will give out the assignments and pass along information to the uniform officers that they need to go out and do their job. Each day we have a briefing, the uniform branch as well as the investigative lieutenant and the administrative lieutenant, and we conduct a briefing where we go over all the information that was gleaned from the prior 24 hours through the log, through reports, and then we discuss those issues, and we determine if further investigation or further follow-up is needed. We supplement manpower depending on whether we have certain events going on in the community during the weekend, or whether we have a need for manpower for a specific incident or what have you. But we try to keep those numbers as far as manpower consistent. And that's basically my job as the operations commander, to make sure the uniform branch, which is the backbone of the department, has the tools they need to go out and do the job day in and day out. Again, the information, the equipment, and anything else they need, and through the chain of command, which is the sergeant to the lieutenant, and obviously the lieutenants that work operations, investigations, and administration report directly to the chief of police. And that's kind of an idea of what operations is all about.
A benefit that the Norwood Police Department enjoys by having a modern police facility is the ability to host schools and trainings at our police station. Very often, by offering the use of our facility, we're able to benefit by receiving reduced or free tuition in these trainings. Such was the case recently when we hosted the Municipal Institute class in latent fingerprint recovery techniques. The Municipal Police Institute is a program of the Massachusetts Chiefs of Police Association. We were able to see an instant success in the practical application of the techniques being taught in the class. Officer Angela Gula and Detective Rich Giacopo were enrolled in the class. This 5-day, 40-hour course provided investigators instruction and practical exercises in the acquisition of major case prints. Major case prints are the inked impressions of the friction-ridged surfaces of the fingers and the palms. Palm prints and such are not traditionally taken when prisoners are processed, but increasingly they are taken when the suspect is believed to be involved in other criminal acts. Sometimes the best evidence left behind to be preserved by an investigator is a palm print or a print from the edge of a finger. Students are also introduced to electronic live screen fingerprinting, utilizing the electronic fingerprint capture station. Hands-on training is provided in developing latent impressions through visual examination, photography, utilizing contrasting fingerprint powders, dye stains, and chemicals and technical equipment. An automated fingerprint identification system, known as AFIS, is made available for the investigator to conduct a search of latent impressions against the database. Proper techniques in the application of cyanocrylate ester, also known as superglue, for latent preservation and retrieval were demonstrated to and practiced by the class members. Practical exercises in the acquisition of latent impressions through the use of ultraviolet light and alternate light sources were also required of the students. In other words, all students in the class got their hands dirty. Congratulations to Officer Gula and Detective Jacopo, and we thank the instructors, Charles Walsh, FBI retired, Sean Dolan, formerly of Cambridge, Mass. Police Department. In the practical application mentioned, one evening after class, Detective Jacopo was called out to process the scene of a break-in entry in Norwood. Using a technique he had learned in the class, he was able to raise a print from an item at the scene of the break which had been moved but not taken. In class the next day, the instructors incorporated the examination of the evidence as a very real and very practical exercise. Once submitted to AFIS, the print identified a suspect in the break. A Boston man was identified, subsequently arrested, and charged. In a Facebook post crediting the instructors which assisted him during the week, retired Special Agent Walsh said, "I'm sure I speak for Sean Dolan, Drew Webb, and Ken Martin of the Massachusetts State Police in saying it was an honor and a pleasure to have spent the week at the Norwood Mass PD teaching latent fingerprint recovery techniques. It was a diligent work of Norwood Police detectives that enabled us to assist them in making an identification in a case that they were working. It also demonstrated what's possible when the various agencies work together to accomplish a successful resolution to these types of crimes. Thanks, Chief Brooks, for the opportunity." This month's training firearms segment was prepared in the field and the studio by NPA TV staff and Officer Andrew Jurowicz. With me is Officer Andrew Jurowicz, whose primary assignment is patrol on the midnight shift. Chief Brooks has assigned it a priority of the department to use social media to further the objectives of the department. Through a reinvigorated webpage, an active Facebook page, the use of Twitter, and this monthly NPA TV production, the department is more responsive and is more in touch with the public that we protect and serve.
We currently are active on Facebook with approximately 1,550 followers and have accumulated 600 followers on Twitter. Links to both of these pages can be found on the department's newly renovated website located at norwoodma.gov/police. Our presence in social media has helped us to keep the community informed of what is happening across town. We offer crime prevention tips on the site as well. Our number of fans continues to grow and new content is uploaded multiple times a week. Again, we encourage residents to visit our website at norwoodma.gov/police to keep up with all the latest from NPD. A top priority of the Norwood Police is the constant training of its officers. In November of this year, all Norwood Police Department personnel participated in simunitions training. Chief William Brooks has participated in simunitions training in the past and knows it can be a valuable training tool for officers. Simunitions is a brand name for a small marking cartridge. It is fired from a specially modified weapon that replicates the real weapons carried by officers. Participating officers and role players wear both face and neck protection. This allows realistic training in a safe environment. In September, 3 supervisors from the MPD were sent to Simunitions instructor class in Avon, Connecticut. Upon their return, the plan for training was developed. Officers also volunteered to assist as needed. One of the scenarios presented to officers is a traffic stop that turns violent. The scenario is consistent with the potential danger that officers face on a daily basis.
Back in the car. Can I talk to you about this? No, get back in the car. I'm really sorry I was speeding, okay? I can't afford another ticket. I already got a bunch of violations on my record. Get back in the car. I can't lose my license. If I lose my license, I lose my job. And if I lose my job, I won't be able to pay my bills and pay my rent. And get back in the car. You can help me out, sir. Please. Get back in the car. Please. If you could just help me out, I would really, really appreciate it. Back in the car. I would really appreciate if you could help me. Okay. Well, I mean, my money's okay. I'm a good guy. Back in the car. Back in the car. All right. I'm sorry, sir. Good. Good. Bolster up. Bolster up. Bolster up. Bolster that, John. Bolster.
Another scenario was scripted to dispatch officers to a call for a suspicious person. Suspicious person calls are another scenario officers face on a near-daily basis.
My mom, what got in the bag? My wallet, change of clothes. I was at my girlfriend's house, so I'm just walking home. Why, I can't walk through here? Back up a bit. Oh, yeah. I can't walk through here? Back up a bit. No, you're trespassing. That's what's really happening. Okay, I'll leave. What you got in the bag? My wallet and change of clothes. Can I take a look? Yeah, I mean, why? What'd I do? Well, take a look. Back up a bit. What you got in here? A gun? Why? I always have a gun. Put your hands up above your head. Turn around. Your left hand, pick up your jacket. Up above your waist. Turn around. Keep turning. Stop. Hand above your head. Down on your knees. Okay, good? Okay, we're good. Hold up. Nice job.
Participants were able to observe firsthand what is normally instructed within a classroom. Training of this caliber is invaluable to first responders. Some scenarios featured violent role players and some did not. They were designed to test the officer's skill and judgment, and the outcomes were determined by how the officers handled the situations. In the past, use of force and decision-making were taught in the classroom, while marksmanship training occurred on the range. Simunitions training combines all aspects in realistic role-playing scenarios. The stress and realism levels are high, which allows officers to learn how to function under stress. The training was well received by all who attended.
So my name is Officer Derek Winterstrand. I was raised in Norwood, graduated from Norwood High School in 2002, and shortly after my graduation, I joined the Army. I enlisted my senior year at the age of 17, and shortly after graduation, the summer of 2002, went to basic training and my MOS training out in Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. After graduating from basic training, MOS training out in Missouri, I came home, and I had been accepted to Northeastern University, and unfortunately, the war in Iraq started, and around March of 2003, wound up being mobilized and deployed over to Kuwait, and then shortly thereafter we went into Iraq. We were part of some follow-on forces for the initial invasion, and joining the military and also becoming a police officer were always goals that I had. I knew from a young age that being in the military was something that I wanted to do. Even before 9/11, I was already talking to recruiters, and I already had made up my mind that I was going to enlist and I was going to become a military police soldier in the Army. And I did that because in growing up, I had a lot of respect and admiration for one of my uncles who was a Boston police officer. I remember him coming over my grandmother's house, when he was at work, and she used to live in Mattapan when we were all little kids, and he would come over in his cruiser with his uniform on, and I remember thinking how great that was and how cool it was, and I really looked up to that. So it was always something I wanted to do, and being an MP in the Army, I thought would give me an edge, and obviously, then going to Iraq and being a combat veteran, I thought, that would definitely set me up for becoming a police officer and make me a very suitable candidate to work for the Norwood Police. My 6.5 years of being a police officer, I think people lose sight of really law enforcement's job, and it's not to go out there and to assault people and to shoot people and to do it out. We're a reactive force. We're out there to react to people's needs, and I think people lose sight of that, and it's an important thing to remind people that we're not the bad guys. We're here. We don't care who you are. You could be a career criminal. If you're in need, medically, you've been a victim or something like that, we're still going to respond. We're still going to do our jobs because that's what we were sworn to do. So it doesn't matter if you're, just an elderly old lady or, someone who is maybe not the most upstanding citizen. We're always going to be there to do the right thing. There's bad apples everywhere in every job, but I can't speak for everyone else, but I'd have to say that pretty much everyone that I work with is a great cop, and we're always there to do the right thing for the citizens of Norwood.
Hi, I'm Lieutenant Brian Murphy. So much of what we present to you in Norwood P.D. Blue shows you what we're doing today, how we are planning and training for the challenges of the future. We also believe it's important to remember our past, especially the officers that came before us, who persevered and left us with a legacy of service with honor. Therefore, we plan to bring you a segment in each show where we look back to something or someone from the department's long and colorful history. Finally, if you see Officer Terrence Conley, Officer Anthony Capone, or Lieutenant Peter Kelly, congratulate them on having completed 25 years of service at the end of December. Or Lieutenant Kevin McDonough and Sergeant Bob Doucette, each of whom complete 30 years of service this month. Who says no one sticks it out anymore? Hi, we're in the rear of the Portuguese Club, which is located at the corner of Heaton Ave and Washington Street in South Norwood. Across the street is the popular Venice Cafe. It was here on the morning of February 26, 1965, that a young Norwood patrolman engaged a couple of suspicious men in the back alley here at 3 o'clock in the morning in the pitch darkness. Officer Testassini was a local boy who enlisted in the United States Air Force right after high school in 1958. And he served until 1962. He then began as a special police officer with the Norwood Police. On February 26, 1965, he was assigned the walking beat in South Norwood, which at the time meant he would patrol, mostly on foot, along Washington Street from Lenox Street at the Railroad Bridge to Short Street opposite Haas Pool. A little before 3 a.m., he had taken a break in his car, but with his attention looking straight down Washington Street from Dean Street. He observed a white 1965 Ford two-door hardtop stop for a moment at the mouth of Wooler Avenue. He saw two men get out of the car and cross the street before the car drove off. Watching the men, he saw that they went into an alley between two businesses. Officer Testassini knew that the Venice Cafe had recently been the scene of a nighttime break and entry. 6 weeks earlier, $6,000 in cash had been taken. Officer Tessassini drove down closer to the area and he left his vehicle. He challenged the men to come out of the darkness into the area shown by his flashlight and be identified. They responded by firing a shot at him. He was hit in the leg. He went down immediately to the ground. They fired 2 more shots. He fired a shot at them as they ran down Heaton Avenue. At the hospital, a .22 caliber bullet was removed from Officer Tessassini's leg during surgery. It was taken as evidence, hoping it could be matched to a weapon once discovered. Officer Tessassini's weapon was examined as well for the integrity of the investigation. The chief, detectives, and all patrolmen on the department worked around the clock and through the next day and into the evening, running every lead, interviewing one potential witness after another. The case was never solved. Officer Tessassini recovered and returned to work another 22 years for the Norwood Police Department. He passed away on Easter Sunday in the year 2010, a valued and well-remembered member of the Norwood Police Department.
Hello, I'm Chief Bill Brooks, and welcome to Ask the Chief, part of our new series of Norwood P.D. Blue. Today's question for the Chief comes from Linda, who contacted us by email, and she's asking about the recent breaks that have occurred in Norwood, east of Washington Street. And she asks for some information about those breaks and what citizens can do. So first of all, like most break-ins, this series of breaks has taken place during the day and to all homes that were unoccupied at the time. And this is fairly common. What do we ask people to do? Well, number one is to keep an eye out on their neighbors, keep an eye out on their neighborhood, see who's in the neighborhood perhaps that is not usually there, and any circumstances that are suspicious. People who are looking to break into a house, number one, look for a house that looks unoccupied. So the first thing you can do is leave a car in the driveway, make sure that your mail doesn't pile up, maybe leave a radio on when you're not going to be home. And then the second thing that people do when they're looking to break into a house is that if they see a home that looks unoccupied, they knock on the front door. Now, if nobody answers, they go around the back and they force their way in. But if somebody does answer the door, they might ask directions or ask for a person who doesn't really live there. What we need the people to do, the people of Norwood, is to contact us when that happens. If somebody knocks on your door and says that they're looking for Washington Street or a store somewhere, or they're asking for somebody who doesn't live in your home, give us a call. Call us right away. We'd rather come down and check out that circumstance than find out later that a house in your neighborhood was broken into. So give us a call. You can call 911 or you can call 781-440-5150. And if you have a question for me for next month's show, you can contact us by telephone or by email at Ask the Chief. Thank you.